Okay, so we used Photoshop in the last two bits to make a ball. And we're going to bring that ball into After Effects. So right now I'm going to open After Effects and go over the parts of the interface that you need to be familiar with to get started, and then we'll start moving things around. So I don't have After Effects on my dock right now. Um, so on a Mac or on a PC, you want to find where your applications are. On a Mac, I look at my Finder. I got a menu over here that shows me where a shortcut to where my applications are. There's a similar thing on Windows PC where it's your applications are. And look through all your Adobe and find Adobe After Effects right there. It's a folder. In the folder, there's some things. One of them is the application, the one that says CC. After Effects CC, that's it. This is a render engine. Don't open that. It won't do anything for you. This is what you want right here. So you can double click on that, or if you, whoops, or you could drag it down into your dock to make it live here in your dock. It will always be there if you drop it in your dock. I know I've got a million things here, so just pay no attention to that. Click it, and it'll open After Effects. It'll take a second. I should probably speak more slowly so the captioning comes in nice and clear and doesn't make mistakes. I usually talk a little bit about what's happening here. When that postcard comes up, your computer is quickly loading all the little pieces that make up After Effects. The reason I talk about that is sometimes for beginners, your After Effects will do something strange. It won't work right. And when you're just getting started, you don't know if it is you being a beginner and not really knowing what you're doing, or if it's After Effects. So I usually talk a little bit more about that in class, but suffice to say that if you're stuck and something's not working in After Effects and you just can't get it to work, occasionally what you need to do is just quit it and restart it, and the problem will sort of fix itself. It doesn't happen very often, but occasionally when your program is loading up, it will load poorly, and sometimes that causes problems, but I wouldn't worry about it too much right now. Alright, so here we are. Close this. What we want to do is say New Project, okay? Whenever you open this, you'll get this starter menu. You could go and open old stuff or recent stuff. As you can see, the things I've worked recently on, last opened. Here, you want to say New Project. Or if you had an existing project you wanted to open, you could do this. So say New Project. Now, this is your interface. It should always look something like this. When you click in a panel, you'll see it gets outlined in blue. So your main parts right here, this is your project pane. It's empty right now. I don't have anything in here. I haven't imported anything, and I haven't made anything. When you bring stuff in, like we're going to bring the ball in here, and when you make new sequences, they're called compositions in After Effects. Whenever you make a new thing, you make a new composition, which is what you see here, right? So project here is empty. When you click on this, this is your composition window. When you have compositions, they will appear here. This is sort of like your TV screen where you can see where you're working on. And then this down here will be your timeline. Right now it says render queue. I'll explain that later. So I'm going to close that right now. This is your timeline. It says none because we don't have any compositions, but when we have a composition, you'll see it in here. Right? So the way you start in After Effects is before you do anything in any software, you notice it's called Untitled Project. So this is kind of nothing. What we need to do is name it and save it, and be deliberate about what we call it and where we put it so we can find it later and we're not confused about what's what. So you can say File, Save As, right here, Save As, and name it. And I always name things specifically what they are. So don't ever name anything Untitled Project, because future you, weeks and years from now, when you're looking on a hard drive, will not know what that is, and you'll have to open 20 of them to figure out what's what. So I'm going to call this Bounce. And I'm going to call it SU for summer and 19 for this year. This is my own personal code for future me when I'm looking through files on a hard drive. If I see this 10 years from now, I'll know exactly what it is. I'll know it's a demo for this class for summer 19, and if I want to use it, I can open it, or if I want to throw it away, I can throw it away without even opening it. I know what it is. Okay? .aep is the extension that stands for After Effects Project. Okay? That's important. You don't really ever want to do this hide the extension because you won't know what this is, whether it's an After Effects project or a QuickTime movie. So the extension is important. This tells me that this is an After Effects thing. Okay, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. You want to make sure you understand where you're saving it when you hit save. Right now, it's going to go, I don't actually really know. I think it might go in this RADS folder, and I don't want it to go there. So I'm going to go here to my desktop, and on my desktop, I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm going to call this STM for St. Mike's SU19. Okay, so this folder is STM Summer 19. Same as before. When I see this folder, I'll know what it is, and I create it. So this is on my desktop, and when I save this bounce su19.aep, it's going to go in here, which is on my desktop. So if I say save, now this interface shows here at the top right here. It says it's in users folder G Glover, which is on this computer, on my desktop in a folder called STM SU19, and then the slash, this bounce SU19 AEP is this document. Okay, so it's just ready to go, and we haven't done anything yet. So the first thing you need to do when you're making something in After Effects is make a new composition. Right? A new composition is sort of like an empty box or like an empty dollhouse that you're going to put furniture in, is an analogy I like to make, or an empty fish tank or aquarium that you're going to put fish and plants and gravel in. Okay, it's your empty container. So I'm going to make a new composition. When you click on that, you get this box where you name it. Okay. Again, I never call anything by default because you won't know what that is. So instead of calling it comp1, I'll call this intro to AE, intro to After Effects, bounce. Okay. And now before I say OK, I'm going to look at the size here. This is a weird size. Yours might not say this. This is 640 pixels by 480 pixels. The last thing I worked on was this small. This is very small. This actually used to be what televisions were back in the day, pre-digital. So on this drop down, usually yours will probably be set by default to this here, HDTV 1080 2997. What that is, this is sort of standard common high def, HD is high definition TV. 1080 is the height. It's 1080 pixels high and 1920 pixels wide. If you're shooting on your smartphone, it's most likely shooting at this size. Okay, this is the common size right now. Duration might be set by default to 30. You can just leave it at 30 is fine. I'm going to change mine back to 30 because 45 seconds is longer than we need. So I'm just going to make it 30 seconds. You can change any of this stuff later on. Okay. Background color, I leave it black. So this is intro to AE bounce. Somehow I misspelled it. It should be bounce. Intro to AE bounce. HD 1920. Okay, this all looks good. Now when I hit OK, suddenly you see this changes. This little icon right here, it looks like a film strip with shapes in it. This is a composition. This is the thing I just made. Intro to bounce. Okay, and you can actually slide this panel and actually slide this a little bit so that you can see, like if your names are getting squished, you can slide that out so you can see your name. Okay, this empty box is this black screen right here. We're looking at it at 66.7% size. If you click on this drop down, you could always make it, you could say make it 25%. That's small. That's your rectangle. If this inexplicably is too little, you can always go to this drop down and change it to fit. Fit will fit your screen and be as big as it can be. If you change this panel, it will always fit that panel, right? So I always have this set to fit. Okay, this full, it means you're looking at anything you put in here at full resolution. These drop downs to half, third, quarter might come in handy later on. If you do a lot of animating in here, After Effects might have a hard time playing it back. And if you want it to play back better, you might knock your resolution back to half, and it might speed things up. But just know that that's there. This is your resolution. Or if for some reason your images up here look crummy and you don't understand why, look here and see if this is set to half resolution or quarter resolution. If your images up here look really bad and pixely, make sure this is set to full, and then it will look nice. Same thing here. Make sure this is set to fit. Okay. I'm going to do a thing or two more, and then I'll stop this so we have nice, short, and tidy recordings. Let's see. Let's bring the ball in here so I can show you how that works. So you say File, Import, and look for a file. Okay, File, Import, File. And this sends you on a search to bring things in, okay? So I don't remember where I put my ball. So I go to no, it's not in Downloads. Look on Desktop, Summer. There's my bounce. Don't remember where I saved the ball. So I could look here and say ball, and maybe I didn't ever save it. Maybe I didn't save it. So watch this. Let's go back to Photoshop and see what happened. File, Open. Let's go open recent, right? Red ball, PSD. So here it is. I'm going to put it in my summer folder now. File, Save As, Red ball PSD. Oh, I put it in something called Demos. Sorry, I forgot about that. So I can put another copy of it here in Summer 19, or I could go find it in Demos. Either way will work. So okay, bear with me. Okay, back here in After Effects, I'm going to go get it. File, Import, File, and if I look at my desktop, in my Summer, and why do I not see it there? I put it someplace funny. I got multiple files going here. Look what I did. I have a St. Mike's folder with Summer 19 in it. Alright, I need to clean this up later, but you get the picture. In trying to be organized, I was disorganized. So anyway, I want to bring this in. The important thing here is when you locate the file, don't import it as footage because it is not footage. You want to make it a composition, and I want to say retain layer sizes. What that'll do is it'll make each layer just the size that it is in Photoshop rather than bigger than that. Okay, so change this to composition retain layer sizes and say open. This asks you the same thing. Do you want to bring it in as a composition? Yes. If you wanted to change your mind, you could change your mind here, but you usually don't. So it's kind of redundant. Leave this alone. Editable layer styles you want. You don't want to merge layer styles into footage. Always leave that there. Say okay. Alright, so now what I've got is a folder in here called Red Ball Layers, and if I click this little triangle, it reveals what's inside this folder. This little white triangle is going to be a repeating thing in After Effects. If you hear me say open it, if I accidentally say open it and you don't know what I mean, it's this little triangle. When you click on that, it opens this and you can see what's inside of it. Okay, that's going to happen everywhere in here, that little white triangle. Okay, this intro to AE bounce is this right here. See this intro to AE bounce, this timeline? That's this empty composition. When I brought the ball in, it brought it in as a composition too. Okay, so if I double click this, it'll tab. See, now I've got this intro to AE bounce, and then I've got this red ball. This red ball is just a small little square composition, and it has one thing in it, this ball. Okay, so close that. Okay, what I want to do is I want to bring this red ball inside this composition. I'm going to click and hold my click and drag it down and drop it here. Okay, and what you can see is this red ball, if you remember, was only like 500 by 500 pixels. So it fits inside this larger comp, which was 1920 by 1080. Okay. Now, before I pause this and put a cap on this recording, I'm going to get to basically the most important operable thing in After Effects, which is how you animate using keyframing. So this red ball right here, if I click on this triangle, and what it does is it opens up what's inside here, and you'll see there's this transform menu. When you click on transform, you have these 5 things: anchor point, position, scale, rotation, and opacity. All these things have numbers that you can set keyframes for and change to animate. So for instance, watch this. If I come up here and grab this ball and move it around, look at these position coordinates. This is the X value of the anchor point here in the middle, and this is the Y value of the anchor point. So when I move this around, you see these digits changing here. After Effects is tracking the coordinates of that point. So to animate something, what you do is, let's say I just want to move this ball back and forth left to right. If I start over here, in my timeline at 0 seconds, this blue triangle is my current time indicator, and you can grab it and drag it around. Okay. If I use the word scrub What I mean is this. Grab your time indicator and drag it forward and backwards. That's scrubbing. Okay. Now, there's no animation happening here because we haven't set any keyframes. So we want to make sure that your time indicator is at 0 seconds at the beginning. And at 0 seconds, I'm going to turn on position keyframing. The way you turn on something is click in this circle, which is it's a stopwatch actually. See, it says time vary stopwatch. Toggle the ability of the property to change over time. Okay. So if I click on that, it turns on the stopwatch, makes it blue, and it sets a keyframe right here at 0. See that little blue diamond? That means at 0 seconds, this ball is at these coordinates right here. Okay. Now if I move forward to 2 seconds in time right there, and park at 2 seconds, there's no keyframe there, right? So if I grab this ball and move it, After Effects notices that I change these coordinates, and it sets another keyframe right there. So at 0, the ball is at these coordinates, and at 2 seconds, the ball is at these coordinates. And what I just did is I did a little animation of the ball moving there to there. Okay. If I move ahead to 4 seconds, pull it down here, the ball will follow that curved path. I'll explain that later. But what After Effects is doing is it's just saying at this point in time, the ball should be here. It interpolates between here and here. It moves the ball in equal increments every frame to make sure that it lands at this point at this time. Okay. You make subsequent keyframes either by just parking someplace on the timeline and moving the object, and After Effects will set a keyframe because you change these coordinates. Or you can manually, like if I drag here and I want to make a keyframe at this point, the way to make a new keyframe is click in this diamond right here, and that makes a keyframe at that point. Or if I want to get rid of that keyframe, if I'm parked on it and I click on that button, it'll take that keyframe away. Like if I wanted to take this keyframe away, I could click on it to select it and delete it. These little white arrows jump you from keyframe to keyframe like this. That's also very useful, right? So if I wanted to say get rid of that keyframe right here, I could select it and delete it, or I could land on it using my arrows, like just park on it right there, like this, boom, sit on it, and then if I click this button, it'll take that keyframe away. Right? So right now I've only got these two, one here and one there. Right? So that's some basic keyframing right now. Same thing will happen with scale. So like if I turn on scale, see how it makes a keyframe right there? That says at this point in time your scale is 100% X and Y. Okay? So the ball's moving, but I think I accidentally just turned my scale off. Let me put it on again. It says it's on. Somehow I lost my keyframe. If I want to change the scale, I can just, the other way you can change any of these digits is to hover over the number and drag it. Okay, so if you hover over the number, your arrow turns into a little finger with arrows sticking out of the sides. You can scrub that number forward and backwards and change your scale. So what happens here is at this keyframe, the scale is at 100%. Just accidentally ditched that keyframe. At this keyframe, it's 100%. At this keyframe right here, it is smaller. It's down to 36%. Right? If I come over here, I can make it grow again. So there's 3 keyframes here. It goes 100%, down to 30 something, and then back up to 90 something or 100. Okay? So I've got 2 things going on. Keyframes for position, the ball's moving, the ball's scaling. If I rotate it, you won't really see it very much because the ball is circular. So if I turn on rotation here and move over here, if I rotate it, you can see because the handles are moving, but the anchor point is right in the middle, so you don't really notice the rotation, but rotation we'll use a lot later for some other things. So I did a little rotation over, you can't really see it. Opacity makes it transparent or opaque, so if I turn that on, and as I move forward in time, I could say, you know what, let's make it transparent. So in this case, it looks like it just gets darker because the background is black. And then over here, I can say make it opaque again. So you can change these digits by scrubbing them like this. You can make keyframes by parking somewhere in the timeline, changing the digits, or moving it will drop a keyframe. You can add keyframes by clicking in these diamonds. And see when I click here, I just made a scale keyframe there, and a rotation keyframe there, and an opacity keyframe there. Those keyframes don't really do anything right now. I'm just showing you like how it works, okay? So I've just got some things happening here. What I encourage you to do is just mess around with this, play with it, make some stuff, delete it, do it again, just to get a handle on how this works. Everything in After Effects is keyframing, okay? So I'll review this as we move forward. So I'm going to stop for now, and then the next thing we'll do is we'll start to make this thing bounce.